Well, what impeccable timing. Just in time for spook. Oh, thank you, computer. Oh, they're already trying to get me. I know what you're up to, CIA. I can see you glowing in the dark. You're not going to stop me. Just in time for Spooktober. For Spooky Scary Skeleton Day. We have a little bit of an info drop from the FBI. Now, I was going to do a stream talking about just other things. There's a lot of shit going on. But this kind of dropped right into my lap, and I'd be remiss if we didn't cover it. I've got one hell of a story for you today. We're going to be taking a look at a FBI report of declassified information that was released, 300 pages, pertaining to a certain white slavery child abduction cult. Yes, that's really how they describe them, a white slavery child sex abduction cult called the Finders. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We've got so much to go over, and I want to try to ease us into it a little bit. Now, like I said, there were other things I wanted to cover. Destiny, having his little R-word argument with all the communists over on Twitch. Have to do that another time. BlizzCon, just a little reminder, I guess, for everybody. Hey, don't forget, the Winnie the Pooh celebration's going on, starting October 31st till November 2nd. So if you want to show your appreciation for a lovable childhood character, Winnie the Pooh, feel free to swing on by BlizzCon so you can be disappointed in real time as they explain to you that Diablo is now a third-person shooter and Overwatch is a mobile game. Oh, that sounds fun. I want to celebrate that. Nothing gets my dick harder than watching video games be fucking murdered in front of me, strangled to death. And I can't do anything about it. Oh, so sad. So sad. That's why you need to go there as Winnie the Pooh. Cheer everybody up. Put on a nice little show for the people. Where do I even start with this? Let's work our way backwards. I think, that's probably the best approach. Let's work our way backwards. I'm sure you recognize this handsome individual. That's Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, if you've forgotten who that was a man that was at the center of a sex scandal who did a backward somersault off a 3-foot bunk and somehow broke his neck. I don't know. I don't think anybody could even pull that off in the Olympics. They need to start a sport called Mr. Epstein's Suicide, because that takes some athletic skill to pull off. Now, I'm not saying this is a conspiracy. That would be crazy. I'd have to put on some tinfoil. Just a typical, everyday experience in a prison. There you are, a multi-billionaire, locked in your prison cell, and the cameras mysteriously malfunction, and the guards who aren't actual guards all fall asleep at the same time. And then you tie some toilet paper around your neck and you do a somersault to your death. It happens all the time. Sure, it seems a little suspicious to people, considering you ran a giant child fucking island and were friends with people that were presidents and prime ministers and princes from around the world. Allegations that you were providing child prostitutes to high-powered individuals, all swept under the rug when you did your amazing suicide dive off the top bunk of your fucking prison cell. Now, people watched that happen and they were incredulous, I think would be a fair way to put it, that Mr. Epstein was killed and didn't commit suicide. But he's just a recent example of something that's been going on for a while now. So here you have Mr. Epstein, a very, very rich man connected to very, very powerful people, accused of being involved in a child sex trafficking ring with those who were in power. There's another story that came up a while ago. Nixvim, I don't know how you pronounce the name of this one. It was run by a financial guru with the help of different people from Hollywood and the financial sector, different investors and bankers. He would actually brand women. And again, what a shocking surprise. We have another case of an extraordinarily rich man at the head of a massive organization full of rich and powerful people that are dealing in white slavery. That's a term, it's a weird term, but it's one you should get used to. Jeffrey Epstein, I don't remember hearing any of those girls were black, so let's just say that was white slavery too. So here we have Nivixum, another cult run by a rich man who, I don't know what he did, brainwashed people, branded them with a cattle prod. He's pulling out all the stops, doing all sorts of fun stuff. Now he's looking at some prison time. I wouldn't be surprised either if he does a backward somersault off the top of his bunk as well. It's very weird. In the 80s and 90s, there was this term that was bandied about when people were talking about extraordinary things like this. The idea that there might be rich men or powerful people involved in child prostitution, slavery, and all sorts of nefarious things. They called it the satanic panic. You're crazy. You fucking Christians, you're nuts. That's not happening. Your children aren't being diddled by degenerate fucks. There aren't rich people out there organizing cults to molest your kids. That's not real. That's a satanic panic. And yet here we are in the year of our Lord, 2019, and I can show you two examples of basically cults that are taking in underage girls, branding them and selling them to rich people to be used as playthings by the elite. If you were to show that evidence to somebody in the 90s, they'd be like, God damn it, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not some crazy soccer mom over here. I know my wife Karen's a bitch. Nobody likes talking to her at the Best Buy. All right, she's always bitching at managers. But I think we may be on to something here. So this term was loosely thrown around. Well, in the 80s and the 90s, there were a couple examples of why that term came into popularity. What do you know? We're going to be reading a FBI report related to one such thing. A group, an organization, a cult by the name of the Finders. I know, and what a fantastic name. I don't know, what is that? The Finders. I think you're going to like all the code names involved in this. I guess maybe they're hide and seek champions. I mean, if you're a little kid running from your life from perverts as they're trying to drag you into a van to get fucked by powerful people, you try to hide. And who's going to win hide and seek? The Finders are. The big bad Finders are going to come and get you. Well, the FBI decides, what the fuck? Hey, it's been a slow news week with the Civil War brewing in the background. Hey, I know. Why don't we just dump this into the laps of the public? Here you guys go. We're going to open up the vaults and just give you 300 pages of semi-classified material regarding our investigation into this organization. And there's some interesting things in there. Now I thought, how am I going to do this? Well, how are we going to look through this? It's going to be a long stream. We're going to be reading a lot. So I hope you're comfortable. Get yourself a nice drink or a coffee. I'm not sure what you're going to need to get through this, but we'll make it. Now, I found a video. We'll watch part of it. It's a documentary kind of dealing with the Finders, pretty well put together. And I think the first 5 or so minutes kind of highlight how this started. So we'll watch a portion of that, and then we're going to go right into the FBI documents. And we're just going to read through them. We're going to investigate ourselves. Just like that picture shows you. That picture right there. We need to find a clue. A Blue's Clues. Or a blue body of a young boy buried in a ditch because the Finders murdered him. I don't know. I don't know what our adventure is going to find. I suspect some shocking things. I'd almost wager you're going to see some things you probably wouldn't have believed are real if they weren't in a fucking FBI report in black and white. There's some opinions from law enforcement, from the intelligence community that let's just say if those had gone public in the 80s and 90s during the satanic panic, it wouldn't have been called a satanic panic. It would have been called a scary as fuck reality. Oh my God, we need to protect our children. There's some fucked up shit going on. But of course, this information, for whatever reason, was held back and not really widely dispersed. And so now here we are. What is it? 30 years later, reading about it, because I guess it had to be kept under lock and key. Who knows what the exact reasoning behind that was, but buckle up because we're going to be taking a look. Let me get a few things ready here. Oh, actually, well, we'll do that later. So let's start with this. Let us start with the very opening of Who Will Find What the Finders Hide, which is a little documentary somebody put together. But again, it's a nice opening summation of probably the most notorious case involved in this. The thing that brought it to most people's attention. Now, I want you to pay attention to the date mentioned because you're going to be amazed when we go through the FBI documents. Just keep your ear out for it and just put it in your brain somewhere, because I think you're going to be widely surprised at what we come across here. So let me pull this up. Oh, there we go. What a great way to start off a documentary with a picture of Mr. Epstein. Obviously something I highly agree with because he is most definitely connected to this sort of shit. But let's give it a listen.
In our last documentary, we talked about powerful billionaire and registered sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and showed how Epstein and his co-conspirators were able to escape punishment for their role in abusing over 40 young girls. We noted that Epstein and people like him do not act alone in their efforts to feed their depraved desires. In Epstein's case, he had an inner circle of people who helped him acquire young girls.
Which is very much true. Mr. Epstein did have quite a few associates and people who worked directly under him that helped to supply him with a steady stream of young women. A steady stream of young women which he flew around the country to other people. And he did very much get away with it. I mean, he went to prison once and got a slap on the wrist, home arrest. Ask yourself, how many sexual predators that prey on children get 6 months of wearing an ankle bracelet at their home and then are let free to go? That's what happened initially to Mr. Epstein. And then people got so offended by the outcome of the first investigation, they brought his ass back into court. And it looked like some real shit was going down, and what do you know? Suddenly, Mr. Epstein has a barbell fall on his head.
In other cases, there exist networks of individuals helping to pressure or even kidnap young children and force them into sexual bondage. This time, we are going to explore the story of a cult that was suspected of international human trafficking in 1987. The Finders cult was a young group of men, women, and children who claimed to be nothing more than former hippies living an alternative lifestyle and practicing alternative parenting.
All right, two quick things, because I want to give some commentary as we go through the opening 5 minutes or so of this. All right, 1987, that's a date, chat, that I want you to keep in your mind. 1987 is when this cult came into prominence. Just remember that date. It's going to be important when we go through the FBI documentation. But also, listen to how they're described. And this is described in the Tallahassee police reports, the Metro PD police reports, the FBI reports, as a group of alternative individuals, intellectuals, living together in a different kind of co-op, hippie kind of lifestyle. Oh my God, they're just so alternative. Fuck the government, man. That's how they were kind of described. You know what else was described similar to that? This guy's called Navixim. They referred to him as a guru, a leader, an enlightened individual that were going to lead them into the promised land. It's really kind of spooky, actually, how many parallels there are between things in the Finders case and things in the Navixim case. We'll talk about that probably a little later on. But again, 1987 is the date you want to keep in your mind.
The Finders were founded by a mysterious man with military connections, nicknamed the Game Caller, who believed in turning his life and the lives of those around him into a constant game or experiment.
The fucking Game Caller. Rise up. Rise up. Do you think this guy sat around in Joker makeup? I mean, this is the 1980s. Maybe he was a really big Bruce Keaton fan. Maybe he loved Mr. Nicholson. I want you to call me the Game Caller. I want you to kidnap children because society needs to learn a lesson.
Although more than 30 years have passed since the Finders made their way to the front page of newspapers all over the world, questions still remain. Did the Game Caller's games involve trafficking of children? What exactly were the Finders finding? Why did this story make mainstream headlines and then disappear in less than a week? Was the story part of the moral panic of the night?
You notice something else too? Not just a similarity between how the Finders are described in parallel to Navixim cult or however you want to pronounce it. That company, that corporation, the corporate cult that was run by, I'm just going to call him Mr. Reindeer. I can't remember exactly how to pronounce his name. It's good enough. But did you hear that? It became mainstream media, got a ton of attention, and then just sort of disappeared. Remind you of anybody? Can you think of any modern examples of a massive child sex cult that got exposed, and then, what do you know, everybody suddenly forgot? Oh shit, a week's passed? What was that? Epstein got killed in this fucking jail cell so people don't know that princes and presidents and prime ministers fuck toddlers? Oh, what are you talking about? Hey, haven't you seen that Greta girl? She told me I need to eat bugs. Get that off my paper's main page.
1980s or something more? We will answer these questions, and most importantly, we ask, who will find what the Finders hide? As we examine the story of the Finders cult, I would like to make all of our viewers aware that everything in this film is documented and can be confirmed by looking at our transcript and sources. This story deals with accusations of satanic activity, child trafficking, and intelligence operations. We take these claims seriously and went to great lengths to confirm the information we are about to present to you. On a chilly February morning in 1987, an anonymous caller tells the Tallahassee Police Department that two well-dressed men are at a local park with 6 kids and a blue van. The children are described as looking disheveled with potential signs of abuse. Tallahassee police arrive and question Douglas E. Ammerman and Michael Houlihan. The two men say they are taking the kids to a school for brilliant children in Mexico.
You know, that's where all the brilliant children go. Hey, I know it's 3 in the morning and I've got these 6 kids wearing potato sacks with their teeth falling out. But we're taking them on a magical fucking adventure to the smart kid school in Mexico. No, officer, I swear to God. I swear to God. What are those belt marks on them? Well, that's just how they learn to be so smart. Hey, kids, show them your arithmetic. Oh, they're so smart. Officer, I swear we're going to the genius school in Mexico.
The men also say the children are being weaned from their mothers. Authorities eventually take the men and children into custody. A search of the van turns up 20 floppy computer disks, a TSR-80 computer, and a, quote, device that police say could be used to hook into a computer in another location by a telephone, end quote. Immediately, it becomes clear this case is not like any other. Following the arrest, the Associated Press reports that police had moved the 6 children from a shelter after receiving a half-dozen phone calls threatening the kids.
You know, that's a typical thing. I think that was a school in Mexico. You know, those educators in Tijuana take their job very seriously. And when they heard, hey, we've got some high IQ students that have been detained by the police, I know the best way to get them out. Let's call the police station and tell the cops we're going to murder the children. Just nothing about this initial story makes any fucking sense. Not a lick of it makes any sense. This is people's first introduction to the Finders, by the way. 1987 in Tallahassee. Police come across 2 men leading a group of children to a Mexican school for the gifted. They're all disheveled. They're all fucked up. The men tell them they're bringing them to the school for the gifted, and they're weaning them off their mothers. These are really young kids, by the way, like 8 and 9. We're weaning them off their mothers and bringing them to the educational paradise known as fucking Mexico. And then when the cops are investigating it, they get a phone calls, multiple plural, saying the kids are going to be fucking murdered. And so they have to put them in protective custody with armed guards. Now that's a wild story on its own. I mean, just that on its own is fucking crazy. But it's going to get real bizarre.
The children were moved to an undisclosed location where they were being protected by armed guards. When interviewed by the police, the kids say the men are their teachers, that they have been living in a house with other children and adults. The police report also notes the kids are eating a raw food diet, covered in bug bites, and only fed as a reward for good behavior. The children are unaware of modern technology, including phones, televisions, hot water, staplers, typewriters, and electricity.
What sort of primitive fucking despair-filled dungeon lifestyle are you living in? Where somebody shows you a stapler and you're like, oh my God, is that magic? I've never seen a stapler before. They don't let me see staplers where I live. And I'm only fed when I behave. I just put yourself in the position of these poor fucking cops that have 6 children telling them the craziest shit they've ever heard. 2 strange men are their teachers. They're fed when they behave. They're going to Mexico to the smart kid school. They've never seen a stapler. And people are calling up saying, we're going to murder them.
The oldest child, Mary, says they receive instructions from a man they call a game caller or a game leader, the founder of the Finders.
Okay, do you see these kids? This is the age we're talking about. Look how fucking young they are. It's back in the day when the press didn't give a shit. Oh, do we have sex victims? Are these kids being abused? Give me their picture. I want to put it on the front page.
Finders, also known as Marion Petty. By Thursday, February 5th, Tallahassee police confirmed the children and men are a part of a group known as the Finders. U.S. District Court records in Washington indicate a confidential police source previously told authorities.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but can you read the second paragraph here? What kind of journalist are you, Larry King from the Times Staff Writers Association? You're talking about a story about children that are potentially abused, stolen, trafficked, and are being threatened with death. And you introduce them as the 6 ragamuffin tykes. Oh, look at those whippersnappers. Those kids, they're a heck of a kid. They don't even know what a stapler is. Back in my day.
The Finders were a cult that conducted brainwashing techniques at a warehouse and apartment in Washington, D.C. This source tells of being recruited by the Finders with promises of, quote, financial reward and sexual gratification, end quote, and of being invited by one member to explore Satanism with them. At this point, officials with the U.S. Customs Service Agency joined the investigation due to suspicion that the potential crimes may have crossed state or national borders. The U.S. Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigations are also said to be investigating the case. After learning the children are based in the D.C. area, the Tallahassee Police Department contacts D.C. Metropolitan Police to establish the identities of the children. Tallahassee police learn that D.C. police are already aware of the Finders. On Friday, February 6th, Virginia State Police raid a 90-acre farm owned by Marion Petty in rural Madison County, Virginia. Neighbors of the farm say children were often brought to the farm in vans, usually crying.
School for the gifted. Oh, so you're a neighbor of Marion Petty, a.k.a. the game changer of the Finders cult? Can you tell us anything about the kids? Well, usually at about midnight, a van pulls up full of children screaming and bleeding, and they're dragged in there by the game finder. Nothing truly out of the ordinary. I also like how, remember, they were found in Tallahassee, Florida, but they were going to Mexico. Who the fuck goes through Florida to get to Mexico from Washington, D.C.? I want you to just pull up Google Maps, chat, and just try to plot a route right now from Washington, D.C. to fucking Mexico. And what reason would you have to go to Florida to make it to Mexico?
An FBI report states that, quote, evidence of a satanic cult ritual was discovered, end quote. The same report notes that all reports regarding Finders are to be classified secret. Meanwhile, D.C. Metro Police and U.S. Customs Service agents raid other Finders properties, including a duplex apartment building and a warehouse in Washington, D.C. Police reports and articles from 1987 indicate that the D.C. police removed large plastic bags filled with color slides, photographs, and photographic contact sheets from the warehouse. Some of the photos were of naked children. U.S. Customs spokesman David Hoover tells the Post, quote, we're not saying it's pornographic, but it has all the earmarks. And
well, I don't want to comment too ahead of the case here. I mean, sure, there are a bajillion photos of naked, crying, screaming children, but we don't know if those are pornographic or not. Maybe that's how they learn to read. Remember, these are all gifted children headed to Mexico for their bright intellectual futures.
End quote. A U.S. Customs Service report describes some of the photos as showing blood rituals involving children slaughtering goats while adults in white robes watch.
By the way, I checked this. Now, this guy put together this video, and I was like, all right. I knew a bit about the Finders, but he had a nice summary kind of at the beginning what I want to show you. But I was like, is there really an article from the Associated Press from 1987 saying the children were involved in goat-killing rituals? Yes! Go ahead and enter in Google the fucking title, Finders photo album shows children killing goats, and this article is real. All right, I want to sum up where we are right now, because it's still not even close to crazy yet. 6 disheveled children, lacking in nutrition, looking all fucked up, unfamiliar with the outside world, with technology, with television and radio, didn't even know what a stapler was. In the middle of the night are being led through Tallahassee, Florida. Somebody happens to see this and contacts the Tallahassee Police Department. They take the children, bring them in. Immediately upon bringing them into the police station, they start receiving death threats saying the kids are going to die. The police don't know what the fuck is going on, put armed guards on them. Now all of a sudden the customs officials and the FBI are involved. They find out that this group is based in Washington. When they talk to the neighbors, they find out that van loads of children are driven onto the property. Crying children in the middle of the night in vans are driven onto their property. When they raid and find materials possessed by these people, they find videos and films of children naked and crying. And now we get reports of photo albums where people are dressed in weird robes with children being asked to murder goats. Remember, they tried to make people, when this shit is going on and people are getting freaked out hearing stuff like this, they told them they're being just stupid. A satanic panic. What are you guys talking about? They have photo albums with kids killing goats at the Mexican Intellectual School in Washington, D.C. with the game changer in a fucking white robe. I don't even know what's under that robe. Maybe he's just got his dick hanging out. Who knows? This is some weird fucking shit. We got a little bit more to watch, and then we're going to get into the FBI report. And I want you to just compare the dates and the information they have to what's being publicly available through the news reports and the police reports.
It also describes that they found instructions on how to purchase children. The importance of this report, written by U.S. Customs Service agent Raymond J. Martinez, will become clear as we move.
Come on. They had guides on how to purchase children. Just an alternative lifestyle group of hippies living on a commune, teaching kids how to be smart.
Move on. The Customs Service then claimed to be looking into allegations of child pornography. Police spokesman Scott Hunt states that the Finders may have, quote, been accustomed to selling or smuggling the children of its members out of the country, end quote. Then Captain William White of the D.C. Police Department declines to speculate on what the possibilities might be, but reports written by D.C. Police state that law enforcement believe the possibilities include kidnapping or some type of international market for children. Police investigator Cheryl Wignan says more than one of the children has been sexually abused, but she won't say exactly how many. Genghis Plato, also known as Robert Gardner Terrell, was the spokesperson for the Finders and the owner of a D.C. house that police say was used by...
Okay, you know who this guy looks like? What was the name of that cult? The ones that wanted to ride on the comet? Do you remember the ones I'm talking about? They all killed themselves and they put a purple blanket over their heads and wore Nike shoes? And they castrated, they were all eunuchs. They castrated themselves. He thought he was a reincarnated alien? This guy looks exactly like him. If you took that beard away and compared his picture to the other crazy guy, they look like twins.
By members of the group. Terrell tells reporters the group are simply, quote, rational people and not devil worshippers or child molesters. Then another spokesman for the Finders named Diane Sherwood states the group are, quote, hardworking with a Protestant ethic. We don't even think we are a group, she says. We are just a network of co-operators. By Monday, February 9th, 5 days after the children and their 2 male chaperones were arrested, Washington Metro Police announced they have found no evidence of wrongdoing or satanic activity by the Finders. Health officials in Florida then say they have no evidence of sexual abuse of the children. D.C. Metro Police Chief Maurice Turner Jr. states that the department has not uncovered any evidence to, quote, corroborate allegations made by an informant that the organization is a cult and that its activities involve satanic rituals, end quote. By Thursday, February 12th, Gary Shepard of the FBI's Washington field office says the FBI investigation has, quote, not uncovered any evidence of federal violations, end quote. But according to the New York Times...
You tell me, Chad. You just heard, this is compiled from the police reports and the news reports about what was going on. It quoted officials. They found pamphlets on how to buy children. They found pictures of naked children. Kids that were underfed and beaten. Kids that were held back and weren't shown what the outside world was like. Children that were going to special schools in Mexico. One woman, one of the officials said they looked like more than one of the kids that had been sexually molested. You've got death threats are being sent against these children at the Tallahassee Police Department. You've got all that going on, and in the span of 4 days, all the investigations stop. In the span of a week, every law enforcement official and every government entity involved in this says, hey, no harm, no foul, you guys can go. Nothing to see here, folks. Everybody look the other way. Does that seem to make any sense to anybody who's just watched this? Who even just knows a little bit about this information? Does that make any fucking sense to any of you? Well, we can't find any evidence of anything, except for the naked pictures of screaming children. We have no evidence, except this how-to manual on how to buy children illegally. We've got no evidence, except the medical exam that shows they've been molested. Let them go. This is America. Let those people go. They're not a cult. They're just a commune of co-operators. They don't even think they're a group. You thought the Epstein stuff was bad. Could you imagine if that kind of evidence? Could you imagine if Jeffrey Epstein sitting in his fucking jail cell, if they found how-to manuals on how to buy children and pictures of crying naked children? What do you think would have happened to Mr. Epstein? It wouldn't have been people saying, well, maybe he's guilty. Oh, no, they would have been certain he was guilty. But this group totally let go. Never explained, never touched upon, or commented on Who the fuck is calling the Tallahassee Police Department and threatening to kill the children? Does nobody find that a little fucking bizarre? Why would they threaten to kill the kids but not the two men holding the children? Now the FBI and the Metro PD and Customs and Tallahassee, apparently they tracked down the mothers and fathers on this commune, and the parents said, no, it's totally okay. We gave those men permission to take our children on a fucking international adventure to Mexican education. Everything about this is just rotten as shit. But I thought this was good. It's a good introduction. It gives you an idea of the prominent case that really brought it to people's attention. 1987. In Tallahassee, Florida. Now we're going to look at the FBI report. I hope you're ready. It's a lot to go through. But I promise you, there's some shit in this fucking FBI report that you're just, I'm excited to show you. Because you wouldn't believe me if I just told you. If I didn't show it to you and talk about it, you would not believe me. If I told you what is connected to this group of people and how far back in time it goes. Now, I had somebody else contact me before I did this stream. Somebody that's researching to write a book on this. Apparently they have more information. I'll probably do a follow-up stream. I'll have them on as guests to talk about it. But today, for this stream, I want to focus on that FBI report. I want to see what's in here. What were government officials talking about while they were looking into this? What's going on? You're going to see a lot of stuff. You're going to see political pressure to make it go away. You're going to see different government agencies involved in it. You're going to see conflicting reports from different police departments about what they think is happening and evidence that was held back. And you're going to see something even fucking crazier than that. You're going to see something that's not supposed to be related to the Finders, but in the middle of the report, it's there. And when you see what it is, you're going to, I don't want to speculate too hard on what's going on, but let's just say it's fucked up. The fact that they decided this should be included is really fucking bizarre. Right now, we're going into the big shit. We're jumping headfirst into the CIA glow-in-the-dark operations. The FBI report released on the Finders 2 days ago from the FBI vault. Not all of it is going to be readable. Some of it's in really shitty handwriting. But we're just going to go through bit by bit, and we're going to try to piece it together. So again, what do we know going into this? 6 kids on a midnight excursion with 2 unidentified men to go to a special school in Mexico. They look all fucked up. They don't know anything about the outside world. Everybody gets involved to try to figure out what's going on. Death threats are called in against the kid. Neighbors are saying that the people on these communes are having van loads of children show up screaming. There are guides on how to buy children. There are multiple binders worth bags full of pictures of naked children. And the government, for whatever reason, decides, hey, you know what? Let them go. Let them go. So that's where we're starting. And remember, 1987. That's the important date. So let's take a look at the FBI. Here we are. I'll start at the very beginning, not that it really matters. Federal Bureau of Investigation. It shows you all the information, the data sheets, how many pages there are. Lots of fucking pages with this. 424. I've only got access to 324. I'm wondering if that's because we're talking about duplicates. I don't know. But let's just go through and see what we can find. We're going to read them as we go through, and we'll see what we can find out. I like to, when they're talking to each other, this is something you're going to see a lot when this information is filed, whether it's from Metro PD or if it's from Tallahassee or the FBI. They always use this subject. Finders Group, White Slave Traffic Act, activity, sexual exploitation of children, obstruction of justice. So that's how they're describing this when they're investigating it, as a white slave traffic cult that sexually exploits children. Okay, let's begin. The Department of Justice has requested the FBI conduct a preliminary inquiry into the allegations made by Redacted concerning child sexual abuse by a group known as the Finders, and what role, if any, was played by the United States intelligence community. Why would the U.S. intelligence community be involved with a group of people trafficking in child sex slaves? It's a question you should keep in the back of your minds. It'll become apparent quickly. By separate communication, WMFO will be provided available documentation received to date from the Department of Justice concerning so-and-so's allegations. United States Customs Services USCS headquarters, Washington, D.C., also possess documentations concerning Finders, which is yet to be obtained by our organization. The following information is being provided as background in the matter for WMFO and Miami. And then here we go. In 1987, redacted for some reason, were convicted of sexually abusing children. One of the children who attended the school during the time of the alleged sexual abuse was doing business as, this is all redacted, after the imposition of prison sentences on both of these, became convinced that numerous other children had been abused and that the abuse was part of a large, well-organized scheme. Subsequently, has attempted to interest congressional members and the USCS in his efforts to enhance efforts in the area of child sexual abuse and investigating claims of organized sexual abuse. During October of 1993, Redacted met with United States Congressman Rose from Florida to discuss allegations concerning a group known as the Finders. Both Congressman Rose and Redacted subsequently provided information concerning these allegations. So already we've got something fucking weird going on here, aside from the numerous redacted information. So the FBI is investigating or reinvestigating this because a congressman from Florida has been provided information. And apparently there's testimony coming from somebody who's not identified, saying that two people that were convicted of child sexual abuse were part of a larger group, and that larger group were the Finders, the same group from 1987 in Tallahassee, Florida that they let go. So you can see this is kind of bizarre. Misdemeanor child sexual abuse charges resulting from a complaint that 6 children playing in a park were unkempt and neglected. The 2 subjects with the children could not initially provide sufficient information as to their legal custody of the children and were uncooperative regarding their identity and the children's identity. As a result of information developed during these arrests, the Tallahassee Police Department contacted the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. and provided information concerning Redacted and their association with a group known as the Finders that were based in Washington, D.C. on February 5th, 1987. The MPD executed search warrants prepared by the United States Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia on 2 properties owned by the Finders in Washington, D.C. Special Agent, and then somebody else redacted, participated in these searches. A joint investigation conducted by the Metropolitan Police Department and WMFO led to the identification and interview of the mothers of the 6 children, 2 of the fathers, and several other key members of the Finders group. On February 18, 1987, WMFO presented the results of their investigation to Assistant United States Attorney and his office for the District of Columbia, who declined prosecution for violation of Title 18, Section 1201, kidnapping, and 225, sexual exploitation of children. Redacted was the case agent in this matter. Department of Justice review of documents indicated that during the execution of the search warrant by the by the Metropolitan Police Department at the 2 Finders properties, Redacted claims to have observed a substantial amount of computer equipment and documents purportedly containing instructions for obtaining children for unspecified purposes. The instructions allegedly included the impregnation of female members of the community, purchasing children, trading and kidnapping them. Redacted claims, and they blocked all of this out. All right, so one of the people involved in the investigation says, we found a how-to manual on how to forcibly impregnate women in the community, kidnap and trade children. And then it gets to the really good shit, it's all gone. All of it's redacted. Redacted has alleged that the Finders are involved in a well-organized child abuse scheme, and that Redacted, in conjunction with the State Department and the FBI's Foreign Counterintelligence Section, conspired to cover up those abuses. Redacted should be contacted by WMFO to obtain complete documentation concerning Finders. Investigation by us in this matter will also include the interview of both Redacted and the review of any new documentation in the possession of the State Department Passport Office and the Foreign Counterintelligence FBI headquarters. So it already seems like we've got a little bit more information that was just initially out there in the police reports and the news reports that were publicly available. Remember, 1987, Tallahassee, group of kids with two strange men, death threats getting alleged, talking about child pornography, weird manuals being found. But now, behind the scenes, as they're talking to each other, they're mentioning they're mentioning different government agencies, counterintelligence operations, and saying that this was covered up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation because it involved their activities with foreign counterintelligence services. What the fuck is going on with the Finders? Well, let's read on. Let's find out more information. Again, white slave traffic activity, sexual exploitation of children. It is noted that a member of Congress has indicated to the Department of Justice that blank, due to the Finders investigation should be conducted promptly in this matter, and WMFO will submit results by teletype to the Violent Crimes Fugitives Unit, Violent Crimes and Major Offenders Section, Criminal Investigation Division. And it talks about the leads that were involved, who was interviewing people, but it's all redacted information. There's nothing we can glean from these documents. Now here's the note from the acting Assistant Attorney General John C. Keeney from the Criminal Division, Department of Justice, and this is to somebody else. On November 2nd, 1993, this matter was coordinated with the Unit Chief, Office of Professional Responsibility, who opined that absent additional facts being developed, there is no operational issue involved in this matter. So we've got another official in the government. He's opining, he's bitching, because information is not being forthcoming. I don't know, chat. Are you starting to pick up on some things involved in this Finders shit? You've got government officials in the Justice Department, different district attorneys, people in the police investigation, people in the intelligence community, who are talking back and forth to each other in their paperwork, who are saying, God, it's really weird that counterintelligence is involved. It's really weird that we're not getting the information we need because different organizations don't want to provide it. Why aren't they doing that? It's a good question. Why aren't government intelligence agencies providing that information? Maybe if we read on, we'll find out. Maybe there's something going on here. I don't know. And then I believe this is just information logged on evidence they had and interviews that they did. But there's nothing really that we can use here. These are receipts for evidence. And unless we can actually go look at the evidence, it does us no good. And I can't read this for the life of me. Maybe you can. I don't know. All FBI information contained herein is unclassified. This is unclassified as of 2014. But look at this. Look at right here. You can see it in here. Why is the CIA getting interviewed? What in the fuck is going on? Why are this many government agencies involved in this? If it had just been the Tallahassee Police Department, which would make sense, that the crime happened in their district, in their area, and the Metro Police Department, because these people are originally from Washington, D.C., again, that makes sense. But why all of a sudden was Customs involved? Why is the FBI involved? Why is the Department of Justice involved? And what the fuck is the CIA doing around this? I wish I could decipher this. I can't. I guess I got too much Irish in me. I can't read the hidden white people language of cursive. More receipts. Trust me, it gets good once we get past the numerous fucking receipts. The FBI facsimile cover sheet from the Washington Metropolitan Field Office. Again, talking about some information, but here we go. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and it gives the address, not important, provided the writer with the attached memorandum. Redacted related, she had received the memorandum from Customs. A review of the memorandum reflects obvious, observed, and what was in fact recovered by the Metropolitan Police Department during the execution of her warrants. Okay, this is fucking weird. So a writer, maybe they mean a journalist. What's the date on this? February 18th. So on February, we could track this down. In fact, here's a challenge for you. Let's say this is a journalist they're talking about, chat. So there should be a news article from sometime around February 18th of 1987 where a reporter receives information from the customs office or a customs official, and these people at the Metropolitan Field Office are saying that a review of the information provided by this reporter was in fact recovered by the Metropolitan Police. So whatever they potentially wrote about is actually true. So if there's an article out there from February 18th, 1987 speculating about information they received from an anonymous source, saying that this was what was recovered, here's a Metropolitan Field Office, a Washington, D.C. field office, saying, yeah, no, that's actually true. That's actually what we found. On February 28th, 1987, this memorandum was brought to the attention of Redacted. The Redacted handling captioned matter for MPD advised the writer that a thorough review of all evidence obtained at the two aforementioned locations did not produce any items described in the examples cited above. Okay, they told the person that gave them this information they didn't find shit. But a paragraph above it, it says, observed and what was in fact recovered by the Metropolitan Police Department during the execution of the warrants. This police memorandum admits to lying. They're saying the information that this person was trying to corroborate was in fact obtained with the execution of the search warrant, but here later on they tell this person a review of all evidence obtained at the aforementioned locations did not produce any of the items described in the examples cited above. Are you getting a little spooked out, chat? Why are the police covering up information? What the fuck is going on? Yeah, no, they were totally right. We found that, but we told them we didn't find it because fuck them. Shut it down! It's a paragraph apart from itself. And then there's a bunch of redacteds, of course. Why wouldn't there be? So I'm getting over a bit of a cold here, chat. Let me light up a cigarette. That'll help. Here's another one. This memo is material provided to WMFO by FBI headquarters on November 2nd, 1993 meeting concerning captioned material held at the FBI headquarters. SSA redacted indicated that this investigation was to be a preliminary inquiry, focusing primarily on the finders. SSA stated that he or another FBI headquarters representative would arrange for review of files, documents in the possession of the State Department and Intelligence Division of the FBI, and advised WMFO accordingly. To unit chief from, I'm guessing the same individual, I met with SSA blank Division 5 Special Staff and SSA blank Office of Liaison and International Affairs. FBI headquarters is who is the FBI liaison with the State Department. I'd previously provided with a packet of documents concerning the finder's preliminary inquiry. The three of them will determine the best manner of request for records checks by redacted DOS for finders. Redacted will conduct a search of Division 5 records to determine if there are any documentation concerning finders. And then here are the preliminary inquiry allegations. On November 1st, 1993, a representative from the Violent Crimes Unit and Major Offenders Section, Criminal Investigation Unit, prepared a packet of documents received to date in this matter for review by WMFO. A representative from there and SSA had scheduled a meeting between representatives of Violent Crimes, SSA, and the WMFO case agent on November 2nd. On November 1st, a representative from the Violent Crimes Unit met with FBI Office of Liaison and International Affairs. They discussed this pertaining to the finders. It is noted that the Department of Justice requested that an FBI agent review relevant documents firsthand from the relevant intelligence agencies as opposed to having to rely on the agency's summaries of reviews. During a meeting with at the Department of Justice, with the Department of Justice attorney on October 28, 93, it was pointed out that a written request from the FBI or DOJ would be required before the records could be obtained from the DOS for review by the FBI. During that meeting, Mr. Beargrasser requested that the FBI prepare a communication and let him review it before it was sent to those agencies. I believe this is, again, going over the information of them meeting together to discuss the information that multiple agencies had. And boy, look at all that information. All of it redacted. Beargrasser noted in 1987 in Stuart, Florida, nothing. Here's more of it, but this is probably more interesting. He is concerned that several congressional subcommittees may be looking at the Finders matter and that a TV documentary 48 Hours plans to air a segment on it. So if you're wondering why in October and November of 93 were these people suddenly so interested in looking into this again, it's because Congressman Rose from Florida and television networks like producers of 48 Hours had been receiving information and they were going to do a fucking special on it. I don't think they were meeting because they wanted to investigate who the Finders were or what was going on with this particular group of people. I think they were meeting because they wanted to cover their asses. I think they were scared that information might be leaked out and they didn't know how to handle it. Going into more file interviews, talks about the interview with the mother of the children, talks about the results of talking to the district attorney, and talks about turning over information to the Department of Justice, as discussed at the meeting earlier. It's surreal, but it gets weirder. An indices check by the Strategic Information and Operations Center identified 4 FBI HQ files. I don't know if these are present in this because they're not titled this, but these are the 4 files as having references to Finders, and 3 FBI files, again, can't really corroborate this, containing references to redacted. They were references to redacted. These files have been obtained and will be reviewed by the Violent Crimes Unit. Identified 16 articles in the LexisNexis database concerning the Finders. These articles indicate that on February 4th, 1987, the Tallahassee Police Department, Tallahassee, Florida, conducted a traffic stop on a van containing 2 men and 6 small children. The 2 men were arrested and were each charged with 1 count of child abuse. And then it just follows the information we already know on what was kind of going on. We're getting close to the really fun shit here. Let me just, it talks about the joint investigation between Tallahassee and Metro PD. That's something we've already covered. Talks about some of the information that was included in that investigation. I think it's page 46 or 47. Might be, okay. So we're going to get into some real shit now. We're going to get into some really weird shit in just a minute. This is going over the U.S. Customs Department and their investigations into child pornography. But what comes up next is a doozy. Remember, this FBI report is concerning the Finders. That's just a group from 1987, right? That's 1 traffic stop in Tallahassee, Florida. Now all of a sudden the Congress is getting involved. The press want to report on it in the 90s. Suddenly they want to review their information again. So part of the information they've got revolves around, I'm going to keep it a surprise. All right, where do we leave off here? I think that's where we left off. Let us get back into it. All right, now remember, this is about the Finders. This entire fucking document, all of this shit is about the Finders. And then we talk about some crime statistics from U.S. Customs. And then in the middle of this, on page 48, there's a map. Well, what is this map of? Why do I see a map of this obviously looks like something. I can make out the word tunnel here. This entire building, it looks like it's been mapped out. There's a tunnel? What would this be about? The tunnels found at McMartin Preschool. A preliminary report. A formal report will be released when forensic tests are concluded. A 45-foot tunnel, 9-foot wide, subterranean entrance found under the west wall of the dog room, classroom 4. Avocado tree roots on both sides of the entrance. Disney bag, copyright 1982, found 4.5 feet below the classroom floor, from 3 to 6 feet in from the entrance and under the foundation of classroom 4. Tunnel proceeded south, then east, 45 feet through classrooms 4 and 3, north, then east 10 feet within classroom 4. Tunnels were 30 inches wide to 44 to 46 inches deep, with the top of the tunnel 30 inches under the classroom floor. The footing between classroom 3 and 4 was arched, where the tunnel passed beneath and was 12 inches shorter in depth at this location. 4 large upright containers were found in the tunnels under the arch, obviously hand-placed. A 9-foot wide chamber was found along the tunnel under classroom floor, classroom 4, Top of the chamber and top of sections of the tunnel had layers of plywood. Okay, trust me, you'll see what I'm getting at here. 7-foot tunnel extending into the triplex next door. Tunnels extended within the bathrooms of the office and classroom 1 to the front yard of the triplex next door. Front yard concealed from street by 3-car garage. Children described entering and exiting tunnel in the triplex yard exactly where the tunnel and exit were found. Other significant facts. A small white plastic plate with 3 pentagrams, hand-drawn on top of light green paint, was found by the archaeologist in the stratified dirt in the playground. Per historical archaeologist, pentagrams were hand-drawn by an adult and not part of the manufacturer's design. Many other artifacts found, whose analysis will be released upon completion of the test. No doorknobs were on Classroom 3's door, only a deadbolt lock. Each classroom had an on and off light switch labeled with fire alarm. System did not connect to fire station, but was used as an alert within the school. More than 2,000 artifacts were found under the school floor, including over 100 animal bones. Okay, so in the Finders report, there's a fucking detailed sketch and information about what was found in a tunnel network under McMartin Preschool. Well, what the fuck is McMartin Preschool? Oh, that was another big fucking sex scandal from the 80s and 90s. An entire group, an entire classroom of children alleged that their teachers had sexually abused them and had them involved in satanic sex rituals. They told police and reporters that they were taken via tunnels under the school and were molested and killed animals and did all sorts of weird satanic shit. And people said, that's satanic panic. These kids have been coached into giving these answers. This never happened. And yet in the FBI report, there's an archaeologist paper talking about it doesn't speculate that there are tunnels. It said we went into the tunnels. In the tunnels. He's talking about being in the fucking tunnels. Finding containers in the tunnels. Finding pentagrams and shit in the tunnels. Finding hundreds of animal bones in the fucking tunnels. The tunnel exits exactly where the children said it would exit. What the fuck is going on? Why is this in the Finders report? This was never publicly alleged to be connected with them. And yet, just in the middle, in a random fucking page, what is it? 49, page 48 and 49, fucking diagrams of the tunnel network, diagrams and explanations of what was found. You want me to link the paper? I'll put this up once more before we continue on, so people don't think I'm making this up. Go to @FBI Records Vault, which is a official account, blue check mark, run by the FBI. It will give you a link to the FBI's website under their subsection Vault. You can download the Finders report on the FBI's Vault page. It is a PDF file, and that PDF file, let me tell you how many pages it is. 324-page PDF file from the FBI. And in this fucking file, on pages 48 and 49, they talk about McMartin Preschool and the tunnels and pentagrams and animal bones they found. But the press convinced the public that these children had been brainwashed by their parents and hysteria, and that no such thing ever happened. No children were molested. None of it ever happened. It was all made up. There are no tunnels. No tunnels ever existed at McMartin Preschool. Folks, there's some fucking weird shit going on. It's weird enough that the Metro PD lied to a reporter and then admitted privately that the information they lied about actually existed. Now, I don't know if it's connected to that super chat. Somebody tracked down an article about this from that exact date that they're referencing, talking about human trafficking of children and organ harvesting. I don't know what the fuck is going on. All I know is multiple intelligence agencies and police departments are all involved in this. Not involved as in they're taking part in it, but involved as in they're looking at it. They're involved in talking behind the scenes to one another about it. And buried in the middle of it is a fucking thing about McMartin preschool tunnels. What the fuck? We've got a letter here from U.S. Customs. Dear Mr. and Mrs., thank you for your letter dated September 13th, 1991, expressing your concerns regarding the U.S. Customs Service child pornography program. I think this is just going over the statistics we actually looked at on this page. Did they fuck up? Wait a minute. Did the FBI fuck up? Did they do a boo-boo? Is this an oopsie by the FBI? Follow my logic on this, chat. The FBI put up information about the finders. Page 47 has the U.S. Customs crime statistics, right? And then on page 50, it's a letter talking about the statistics. But for some reason, inserted between those two things are diagrams of tunnels under McMartin Preschool and an explanation of the pentagrams and animal bones they found under there. It's almost like somebody accidentally put this in here. And they didn't fucking mean to. It would make sense to have the U.S. Customs crime statistics followed immediately by a letter from U.S. Customs talking about those crime statistics. And instead, in between those two items, is a detailed archaeological map of the tunnels under McMartin fucking Preschool and a discussion of shit they found in the tunnels. Again, read this information. It's not speculated that it was in there. They said it was hand-placed in there. I think the FBI might have done an oopsie. I think somebody fucked up on the file system here. Oh, you win some, you lose some. Oopsie doopsie. Here's another. Finder's chronology. Contact of U.S. Customs by Tallahassee PD regarding discovery of unidentified children and an adult male guardians in City Park. Requested contact with Washington MPD for assistance in locating possible address and relatives of children. Address located with assistance of MPD Intelligence Division. Second address identified. One residence, one warehouse. Are you ready for this? Buckle up, chat. Just read. I'm going to read this a few times. This, again, is buried. What page is this? Page 52. Search warrants obtained by Metropolitan Police Department Intelligence. The warehouse site of previous MPD Intel inquiry involving classified maps of underground tunnel sewer system in Washington, D.C. Okay. The finders, a group of them got arrested in Florida. They found out that they were headquartered in Washington, D.C. Neighbors reported to police that van loads of children showed up crying in the middle of the night. A reporter, potentially the same story, contacted them with information from U.S. Customs and wrote an article about child sex exploitation and organ harvesting that the MPD told was not true, when in fact it looks like it was true. Now, here's the MPD talking about executing a search warrant on the warehouse site and finding classified maps of underground tunnels and sewers in Washington, D.C. Why would a child sex cult have classified maps of an underground tunnel network under Washington, D.C., where they're based? Oh, you guys, Pizzagate. Oh, you Pizzagate's full of shit. Well, apparently in the finder's chronology within the FBI report, they thought it was good enough to make sure people were aware the search warrants obtained by MPD involved classified maps of underground tunnel networks in fucking Washington, D.C. Are you getting spooked out here yet at all? Anybody? Anybody find this kind of fucking weird? And then, like, that's not weird enough, right? Like, this shit isn't weird enough. Let's, on top of that, just throw in archaeological maps of fucking McMartin Preschool. Let's just include that for the fun of it. Holy shit. During search warrant staging, disclosure of pending search warrant execution made by Tallahassee PD to local media. Tallahassee media representative contacted DC media for more details. DC media reps pursue public information at courthouse are waiting at search warrant sites for MPD search teams. Search warrants are executed by MPD and 2 U.S. Customs agents, one at each site. FBI not involved until walkthrough on following day. Seizure of numerous documents made to include passports, teletexts, computer electronic media. Correspondence et al. See previous description. After search warrant shut down on first day. What? After search warrant was shut down on the first day, news reports carried FBI press release announcing FBI as lead investigation agency. Day after one search resumed, FBI agent from Washington field office makes walkthrough of warehouse, but does not examine any seized evidence. Additional search warrant executed on farm in rural Virginia with support by Virginia Police Department. No federal involvement. Evidence of satanic cult rituals discovered. Based on observed documents, custom agents unsuccessfully attempt to gain access to evidence for detailed analysis for use in investigating possibly Export Neutrality Act, Mann Act, and child pornography violations. Okay. All right. I want to make sure I get the chronology right of this. They execute a search warrant on the Washington, D.C. residence. At the Washington, D.C. residence, MPD comments that there potentially are classified maps of a secret underground tunnel and sewer system in the possession of an alleged child sex cult. Within a day, the search warrant is shut down. Following it being shut down, an FBI agent decides they're going to do a walkthrough, but they don't decide to look at any evidence. They just walk through, say, looks good to me, and leaves. At the same time, a separate police department in Virginia decide they're going to do their own investigation with no feds involved at all. And when they do their investigation, they find evidence of a satanic cult ritual. Based on this, they try to get a hold of other agencies to get help, and nobody will help them. This is very similar to what happened at Tallahassee, where they said they had evidence of abuse and sexual abuse, and it disappeared once the feds got involved. Here we have the same thing happen. 2 search warrants, classified information, feds show up, disappear, shut down. Virginia finds evidence of satanic rituals, shut down. The moment the feds get involved, all that evidence doesn't matter. None of the agents will respond. Shut the fuck down. What the fuck is going on? Contacts at the Metropolitan Police Department Intelligence advise that all reports regarding Finders are to be classified at the secret level. Also advised that no information was to be turned over to the FBI for investigation, and that the WFO would not be advised of the redacted involvement and contact. Children discovered in Tallahassee were eventually turned over to the individuals claiming to be their parents or guardians. No further MPD, FBI, or Customs involvement. As far as it is known, no details of redacted involvement ever became public. So not only did the intelligence community insert itself into this investigation, it basically shut their search warrants down, hid their evidence, and then told them it's classified at the secret level and they can fuck off. And then once they had done that, they took the kids that were obviously victims of abuse and turned them back over to the cult. All right, there's some shit going on here. So let's continue on our magical journey through fucking U.S. intelligence smart land. Here's more teletypes. Let's see what we got. Subject Finders Group, again, White Slave Traffic Act, sexual I love that they had all their letters are headed with that. It's like anytime the FBI or the Virginia police or anybody's talking about this behind the scenes and they're talking to each other via teletext, it always says regarding the white slave traffic ring and the exploitation of children. They know what this is. They fucking know what this is. For information of FBI HQ, review field office information. Opened a kidnapping case on February 6, 1987 as a result of the February 4th arrest of 2 men in Tallahassee for abuse of children. These individuals, redacted. And it's just going over what happened with Tallahassee. This is a summary of what's going on with Tallahassee. We've already gone over this. I guess it's a duplicate, or it's sent from another agency to another one. I think we're getting to some really fun shit here. Let me see. I think it's coming up. Okay, hold on. Finders Group, sexual exploitation of children. This is to SAC from WMFO. Attached to the memo are copies of Metropolitan Police Department investigation file reports, pertinent information obtained during writers November 4th, 93 review of the MPD case jacket on the Finders Group. The MPD case jacket was made available for review by Lieutenant Redacted, MPD Intelligence Division, 300 Indiana. It's their address, doesn't matter. MPD case jacket did not contain a listing of specific items seized from the February 5th and 6th searches of the Finders Group properties. In addition, there was no indication of the present status of any items seized at these searches or what the fuck? So they're saying, okay, what they're saying here, at least my understanding, is all the evidence seized in those initial searches doesn't exist anymore. It's not included in the reports. It vanished. That's what they're saying. Oops, we lost some information. Sorry, guys. Synopsis, he's going over the investigation, talking December 1986. Blank called the Intelligence Division and reported that she had information concerning a cult operating in the District of Columbia. Remember, our Finders case in Tallahassee was in 1987. This predates that. So this is a police report to the Metro regarding the Finders. Redacted was advised that Detective Redacted of his office handled cult investigations and was currently out of town and would contact her would contact her after he returned. Was contacted in late December by a detective by telephone and I guess mail. Advised she wished to be interviewed concerning this cult. Detective of the Maryland Park Police because blank stated a section of this cult was operating in Maryland. Okay. So already in 1986, they're aware of who the Finders are. And even more importantly, it's not just, it's operating in the surrounding area. Right? We got Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland. We know they're in Tallahassee. It seems like it's a East Coast thing. So, okay. But this person, the police are aware of this in 1986. Whoever's investigating cults at the Metro Police Department in 1986 is well aware of who the Finders are. Was advised that although this group was unusual, they were committing no criminal offenses, and the police department would only be interested if this group was involved in criminal activities. In January of '87, again contacted the detective and stated that some of the members were interested in exploring Satanism. Detective again advised that although Satanists are not criminals, detective was interested in ascertaining what activities this group was involved in, and asked Redacted to call detective if additional information became available. Law enforcement information. On February 5th, 1987, Detective Redacted received a phone call from the U.S. Customs Service in Tallahassee, Florida. Customs was trying to find out if the Intelligence Division had any information containing a group of subjects known as the Finders. The Customs representative stated that 6 children had been located in Florida along with 2 men, and that the children were dirty, unkept, insect-bitten, underfed, and possibly sexually abused. U.S. Customs stated that they had tried to contact representatives of the Finders without success, and they feared that other children were being abused at that address and were unsure if the children had been kidnapped from their parents. Detective was put in contact with investigator of the Tallahassee Police Department, who were the lead investigators in the case. Okay. It just gets weirder. It just gets weirder. So this does predate Tallahassee. The police were aware that there's some weird cult activity going on in the area. You've got a lady calling in, concerned. She seems to have firsthand information. I mean, how would she know they're engaging in Satanistic activities? I don't know. I like this. Children talked about other children in D.C. and stated they were under the control of the game caller. Talks about the search warrants getting issued. There's something I really want to look at, though. Oh shit, I hope I didn't lose it. Okay. All right, chat, are you fucking ready for this? You're going to like it. Are you ready? This is on page 67. Super Chatter, who said, oh, the CIA is involved. The CIA is involved because it goes into Mexico. That's why the CIA is involved. Let's hear what the Metro Police Department thinks. It is this writer's belief that the Finders organization is and has been utilized by the Central Intelligence Agency as a disinformation service spreading non-essential, non-critical information to various organizations throughout the United States and overseas. This group, to the most part, is made up of overeducated non-achievers who lack the inborn initiative to succeed on their own. Therefore, they fell in line with a charismatic leader who gave them direction and self-importance. To the most part, this organization individually is harmless. However, when directed and monitored by a controlling factor, they are capable of destructive and illegal activities. As in any cult structure, the main drive is for the group and individual values and ideology is lost. Therefore, when a member is asked to perform a task that hitherto may have been objectionable, he or she performs his mission for the good of the group. As to the abuse of the children, I do not think that child abuse was planned, a tactic of this group, but as in any cross-section of society, sick and demented subjects belong to cults as well. I believe that the shaping of the children is a planned experiment of this group, as is the case of the Nazis. They strove for a perfect society. Oh, God, what? All right, just to sum up, Metro Police Department that were involved with 2 investigations into the Finders, in their summary report, says, oh yeah, by the way, this group has been used as an asset by the Central Intelligence Agency, and they were trying to brainwash children like the fucking Nazis did. What? Can we just take a minute? Let me pull this back just a second. Where is it? There we are. Oh, CIA. Oh, my sweet, sweet glow-in-the-dark CIA. Are you telling me that you created a counterintelligence ring and it accidentally turned into a child sex cult that harvests organs? And did you try to own the Russians so hard that you ended up creating a sex cult, Mr. Glow-in-the-Dark? Is that the feeling I'm getting? Is that why the FBI and Customs and Interpol and everybody involved in this is so fucking embarrassed? Because you colossal fucking idiots created a child sex cult by mistake when you meant to train a counterintelligence agent? You fucking idiots! Oh God, that's embarrassing. Oh my God, if I worked at the CIA, does everybody make fun of you, glow in the darks? Like, do you hang out at like government intelligence agency parties and get just shit on relentlessly? Does the FBI and NSA and DOJ, did they just shit on you idiots? How do you accidentally create a child sex cult, CIA? How did you accidentally do that? Oopsie. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there are tunnels under McMartin Preschool. We're hustling and selling children for their organs and sex around the world. Our bad. We just wanted to teach the Russians a fucking lesson. This is mundane Matt levels of retarded. Oh, trigger the libs, own the libs. Trigger the Russians, own the Russians, huh, CIA? Here's a better example. Here's a PSA. Here's a public service announcement from normal people.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good. It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to. So what do? First, you say no. Then, you get out of there. Most important, you gotta tell someone you trust. Like your parents, your teacher, a police officer.
You know, that would be the PSA, the after-school special you show your kid. That's what normal people produce. Let me show you the CIA's version of a public service announcement. This is what they would show your kid instead.
Let's have a little reality check to make sure we all got the message. If something like this happens to you, know that it is your fault. You did wrong. And remember, being abused by a male does make you gay. Right. And telling someone about it does make you less of a man.
The bottom line, if you are molested, you wanted it, you did something to deserve it.
That make you weak.
No offense.
Being molested means you're gay.
Oh, what special guys the CIA are. Thank you for that. Oh, all the children feel so much better, CIA. Oh, that's fucking embarrassing. Oh, that's embarrassing. That's shameful. That's shameful. Oh, you should be embarrassed. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. You know, we're 68 pages into this. 68 pages into this 300-page document by the fucking CIA. Brilliant. Lovely. Well done. Good God. This might be a long stream, chat. I don't know what you all have planned this evening. We're on what page are we on? We're on page 68 of 300. Oh. You know, let me just pull the room here. Now that we're a little bit involved in this chat, I've got you pulled up on screen here. Let's see. I'll try to pull you guys. How many do we have watching? 15,000? Okay. Chat, Give me a 1. How do I want to break this down? Okay. Give me a 1 if you think there's nothing weird with this and it was all blown out of proportion and it was just a satanic panic. Give me a 2 if you think there's smoke here. Not necessarily that we know exactly what's going on, but give me a 2 if you think there's some weird shit going on and that the truth has been covered up for whatever reason. A 1 if you think it's all bullshit. A 2 if you think there's something going on here that's nefarious or weird or being covered up. I'll give you, I know there's a bit of a delay. I'll give you a chance to catch up. Gives me a moment to have a drink and smoke a cigarette. I'm seeing some 1s interspersed there, but I'm seeing a lot of 2s. And of course, we've got the rebel who's going to give me a 0 because fuck you, man. Fuck you, mom and dad. You can't put me in a box. I got you, bro. I got you. I feel that 0. Okay, so we got a lot of 2s. All right. Let's see. Okay, let's put out some possible theories on what might be going on. Possible theories on what's going on. Right now, my initial gut feeling, reading this retarded shit, I'm going to put as theory number 1. Don't answer yet. Wait till I'll give you 3 theories, and then we'll vote on it. Theory number 1. The CIA, or another intelligence agency within the United States, sought to create a counterintelligence network, or a propaganda network, that would spread disinformation in the U.S. and outside of it to enemies. This was a group that was trained and influenced by whatever this intelligence agency was, and at some point during their operation, for whatever reason, they went rogue and became involved in child sex rings, organ harvesting, and other really illicit and illegal activities. And because of this, the agency that was responsible for maintaining and managing this particular group became embarrassed or afraid of what would happen if that information went public, and so helped to cover it up. That's theory number 1. Theory number 2. There is a weird group of fucking hippies out there. There's a weird group of hippies out there that run a child sex ring, and for whatever reason, they are in possession of classified information, including tunnel networks under Washington, which might imply that they facilitate or trade child sex to people in the government. And because they had blackmail material on government officials, U.S. intelligence and police departments had to cover it up because they were told so from above. Hypothesis number 3, all the people involved in this are fucking retards, and anybody who doesn't have their head up their ass can see there's weird shit going on, and it's just human stupidity that allowed it to get this bad. So, theory 1, CIA fucked up and did a big boo-boo. Theory number 2, the Finders blackmailed the government with material related to officials' fucking kids. And theory number 3, people are retards and they dropped the ball on this because they're fucking idiots. What one do you think sounds the most likely so far? Oh, you know what? Let me put, while you're voting, I'm watching as the numbers are flying by. Let me put the picture of our boy up again, so you can see his face while you vote, chat. What are you doing there, CIA? All right, I'm seeing a lot of 2s. So a lot of people believe. Okay, I'm seeing an equal amount of 1s and 3s, but a majority seem to be 2s. Is what I'm getting. Okay, so it's all over the place. And again, these are just random theories I'm throwing out. Maybe somebody in chat's got a much better one, and I'm way behind the curve on it. I don't know. But we've heard for so many years about weird shit the government does. And we know the government does weird shit. You look at stuff like them dosing people with LSD, people in the health department allowing people to be sick with things like syphilis just to watch their brain rot without telling them or giving them treatment. You've got shit like MK Ultra. You've got all these weird fucking projects that are going on in the background run by government agencies. So I guess kind of knowing that they do weird, stupid shit makes me at least open to the potential that they have done something very stupid and found themselves in a giant snafu involving a child sex ring. And that I feel bad. I'll say I feel bad for the people in the Tallahassee Police Department, and I feel bad for the people in the Metro Police Department, because they probably didn't want the shit to continue, but probably were bullied about it. And, you know, even if you put all of this aside, even if you say this is all speculation, who was calling the Tallahassee Police Department and threatening to kill children? Right, the group's initial claim was that they were just a cooperative, a commune, that there wasn't anything weird about them. So why then, when the Tallahassee Police Department got a hold of the children, were they receiving anonymous death threats against them? See, if I were a cop, if I was in some government agency, fuck everything else. That's the thing that's going to get my attention. Who threatens to kill children that are 7 years old just because the police are concerned about their safety? That feels like a message. That feels like a message being sent that that's our property, we can do what we want with it, and you can't do shit about it. So I feel bad for that. I bet the Tallahassee police officers were like, this is fucked up. And they probably put their faith in Customs and the FBI and everybody else, and they were let down. I'm sure it's the same with the Metro guys. I'm sure it's the same with those detectives in violent crime in Virginia. Every time they'd come across this shit, every time they'd encounter this weird group, they were repeatedly told to back off for whatever reason. Again, just out of nowhere, just decide to drop it. Not all of this is classified. Some of this is, open. Some of this was out there. But a lot of it was classified as secret or confidential. A lot of it was internal memos that were never released. But for whatever reason, it's all compiled together, and the FBI put it up and put it out. And they just did it without any fanfare. They threw it out there on the 25th. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Maybe I don't. Part of the way this is organized is weird. I find it very bizarre that in between the custom statistics and a custom letter talking about the statistics for no reason at all, which shouldn't have any connection to the Finders group, are two documents pertaining to McMartin Preschool and underground tunnels about sex abuse and satanic rituals. That seems really bizarre. That seems like somebody did a boo-boo when they put this together, or maybe there's a federal agent out there that thought, you know what, if I'm going to put this out, I'm going to sneak that in there for people. Maybe there's a Fed out there who's on our side and wants people to put pieces together. I don't know. All I know is there's some very strange shit with this entire release, and there's some very strange, it's like Blue said, we got to find some clues here, Chad. And we're going to do it. We're going to find some fucking clues. We're going to go through this information. We're going to figure out what the fuck is going on. So let's continue. Here we go. Page 68. Finders' involvement with the CIA. At approximately 3:30 on February 18th of 87, detectives spoke with Redacted, referencing any contact the members of the Finders may have had with the agency. So-and-so was guarded, but frank in his response. He confirmed that Redacted, Isabel, now deceased, was an employee of the agency from 1950 until 1971. When asked if our investigation was treading on anyone's toes out there, Redacted replied, sort of. He acknowledged that they have had someone working on the case since it first broke on the news media. He also stated that the agency is aware that during the period of 69 to 71, Redacted traveled to Moscow, North Korea, and North Vietnam. Also stated that he would contact detective to arrange to come to his office and further discuss this. The Metro PD talked to somebody in intelligence, and they were told that, yes, investigating the Finders cult is treading on the toes of the CIA. They had an agent involved with this, and that, okay, the dates now, look at this, from the period of 1969 to 1971. This goes back another 20 fucking years. It's not just something that's happened for 30, half a century. For half a century, this organization, iterations of this organization, have been involved in activities that benefit the CIA and the U.S. government. And they're aware of it. And now you wonder why it is the police departments, every time they enact a search warrant or get involved with kids, are suddenly told to fucking stop. Why their search warrants are shut down, why their information is taken away, why evidence is suddenly lost, why all the victims are suddenly returned to the cult. Sort of. You're sort of encroaching on our territory. By the way, these people are involved with traveling to Moscow, North Korea, and North Vietnam. All communist nations. I wasn't joking, chat. I was being serious. This is my strongest theory now. The CIA wanted to trigger the Russians to own the Russians, and the way they did it was by creating a child sex cult. Brilliant. Just brilliant, CIA. Holy fuck. All right, let's keep going. As a practical matter, what is not being said said as is important is what Blanket said. Acknowledged that was treading on their toes and that they have said someone working on the case since November 5th when it broke. They apparently have a vested interest in blank and or the group. All right, this is the cop saying the CIA has a specific interest in a member of the group and the group, the Finders themselves. They have not contacted any of the investigative agencies while they've been working on it. They are also aware that blank traveled to the prohibited countries during a period of hostilities that could only have been arranged by them. Okay. This is getting worse. This isn't just some group of, super patriotic Americans teaching those Russians a lesson. This child sex cult. This child sex cult is going to fucking communist countries. And it's being arranged, or only could be arranged, by the CIA itself. 1987 Tallahassee is when the public became aware of it. But going on this document, we could be talking as early as 1969 this has been going on. This could explain a lot about the group's running, which may have been unable to document to this point. Redacted did not know that the person he turned the information over to in Europe was a source of this office and is not aware that the source brought this disc back to the office. Redacted actually transferred the disc to London. Detective Blank then turned the disc over to WFO, FBI, Counterintelligence Office for analyzation. We have not been appraised of the results of the analysis, nor do we expect to be. Regardless of the type of operation they may have been engaged in, there will be no justification for the way the children have been treated, and the matter will be addressed in family court, superior division. I'd say this goes in line with what I was saying earlier. You got your local police departments that think that this shit is fucked up, and U.S. intelligence is telling them to shut their fucking mouth. And here's a cop basically saying, we want this to go to court. These kids shouldn't be being abused. Nothing ever happened. Also interesting that this disc of information regarding the Finders and the CIA and all this shit going on is now, it's not just an American thing. Now we're international. Now it's going to London. So does that mean MI6? Does that mean Interpol? Who are we dealing with? Do not disseminate confidential. Oopsie. And then we've got more information about Finders Group, the business name, Investigative Information Services. Attached are copies of the information. Okay, this is stuff we've already seen. Let's just continue down here. What are we even looking at? Let me see if I can see what we've got here. I don't know what this is. Oh, they've got like credit reports on these guys. Okay, yeah, they dug deep into the business. Looking through tax liens, bankruptcies, all that, the unit, the location. Building footage, 37,000 feet. It's a big building. Okay, that's your LexisNexis result. Yeah, they're okay, so I don't know if this is through the, is this through MPD? I'm guessing it is. They're looking at all their properties. So the Metropolitan Police Department started doing background checks, financial checks, business checks. So again, the cops really wanted to figure this out. It's U.S. intelligence that basically told them to fuck off. Let's see. FBI conducted a preliminary inquiry. Okay. Again, U.S. Congressman Rose from Florida to discuss allegations concerning a group called Finders. Both Rose and Redacted provided information concerning these allegations to the Department of Justice. WMFO investigated a group called Finders in February of '87. Finders was an alternative lifestyle group located in Washington, D.C. that evolved into a data gathering group. The group was purportedly headed by Blank, Virginia, with the leader in the WDC. WMFO closed the case when no violations of federal law, child abuse, or exploitation was determined to have occurred. Well, how fucking convenient. Case agent from the 87 investigation advised that this matter was brought up again sometime in 89, when TV talk show host Redacted was purportedly planning to air a special exposing Finders as a satanic cult. Redacted provided Redacted of Quantico with information concerning this investigation. Redacted advised that when the televised special aired, there was no response to Finders. Yeah, you see this shit? Okay, so you got the police departments that are working hard on this, and then you've got U.S. intelligence that not only covers it up, but the only thing they give a shit about is when a television network might do a special on it, or when a congressman might stick his nose where it shouldn't belong. So here's Congressman Rose of Florida, who probably thinks this is some fucked up shit. He probably got lied to, too. I think this is just a copy of the same thing. White slave traffic again. All right, let's see. What page are we on right now? Where are we here? Page 97. Okay, listen to this shit. Remember how the evidence disappeared? Investigation at WMFO indicates that material seized during the execution of 2 February 1987 search warrants of their addresses in Washington, D.C. were probably, maybe, kind of, we think it might have been forwarded to Tallahassee Police Department for inclusion in their Finders case. You know, maybe. Oops, it disappeared. No, we sent it to them. It's their fault. They're blaming the fucking police. Was telephonically? Who the fuck writes that? Was telephonically contacted regarding the status of his efforts to have both Redacted U.S. State Department queried regarding the Finders. Redacted had previously been requested by the SSA to handle the inquiries on a headquarters level. Redacted advised that he was drafting a letter for approval by the Victims Crime Unit, which would be sent to the respective agencies. He further advised that Redacted was assisting him in this effort. SSA Redacted was requested to advise WMFO of the results of his efforts as soon as possible. On November 9th, 1993, Redacted advised that he was handling the review of any FCI files at FBI HQ and would advise the WMFO of the results. Okay. Given the subject matter we're talking about, I got my tinfoil. I grabbed some tinfoil, wrapped it around my head so they can't beam their satellite rays into my brain. We've got a lot more to read through. Let's see what we got. I believe we left off on page 1. We're on page 100. Maybe I went backwards a little bit, but we are on page 100. This is a teletype again to the director in Miami, I guess, for information of the WMFO for Tallahassee Region Agency is in the Jacksonville Division. Okay, it's not important. Again, a lot of this is them sending information to themselves. So it's like this, it's this internal back and forth of sending documentation that happened once in 87 back and forth, and then again in 93 back and forth. But it's a lot of the summary information or chronologies listed by the FBI or from the Metro Police Department that shine a light on some of the weird shit that these people are getting into. All right, we'll scroll through. Oh, here's the press coverage. Okay, so included in this in the FBI, I guess summary, they basically taken different articles that were writing about this, so you can see how many people were talking about the Finders at the time. Here's one from City Paper, Finders. It shows the kids' pictures, shows the man involved, reports on that. Another one in search of the Finders. You can see it's just a lot of press coverage following what the fuck is going on with this particular case. Her diet's a real killer. Oh boy. Well, you know, I need to find out about this diet program for eating disorders. In search of the Finders again, following this. This is a very long article. I would try to read it, but it's very small. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can scroll in a little and see what we're saying here. Another issue of the Daily Finder, come to Tallahassee, invited friend to come join the drama and featured the song Old Tallahassee. I don't think that's... Okay. What is this from? Important message, Chief. Regarding your Finders case. Okay, it looks like they included the article for that. Here's the 48 hours. You remember earlier on they were worried about the 48 hours expose about the Finders. Dear Chief Tucker, As an associate producer for CBS News 48 Hours, I would like to request that under Florida Chapter 119, you make available all files and materials associated with your investigation into the Finders organization that took place in 1987. I will be in your city sometime in the middle of next week and would like to examine the records in person. If there's a copying fee, CBS News will reimburse you for your costs. Thank you for your help in this matter. From the House of Representatives. Dear Chief Tucker, in furtherance of its legislative and oversight responsibilities under the rules of the House, the Committee on House Administration in conducting our investigation into an organization known as the Finders, in order to examine the credibility of certain allegations against the Finders organization, the committee must obtain all relevant documentation. It has come to our attention that your office may have certain information which will further this investigation. Accordingly, I am requesting under Chapter 1, everybody's requesting under Chapter 119. Please address your response to redacted of my staff. Should you have any further questions, redacted can be reached. Why would you Why would you? What's the point of redacting that? You have his signature. We know it's Charlie Rose. Committee on House Administration. That it says it right there. What was the point of this if his fucking name is right here? That's some smart thinking from the FBI. All right, let's see what we have here. I believe this is this would be from the Tallahassee Police Department. I think this is the initial report. This writer was dispatched to Myers Park in reference to a report of a well-dressed man with several small children who were unkempt. Upon my arrival, I observed two men dressed in confident ties on the playground at Myers Park, accompanied by several small children. I also observed a redacted parked on the playground at Myers Park. The writer noticed that the children, I can't make that out, were very dirty and unkempt. The children had been bug bitten. Their entire bodies were scratches on their legs. The writer spoke to suspect. It was stated that he and suspect number 2 were teachers from Washington, D.C., and they were en route to Mexico with the children. Suspect 1 stated that they were going to Mexico to set up a school for brilliant children. When asked about the parents of the children, suspect 1 became very evasive and stated that the children's parents were in Washington. Suspect 2 refused to give the writer any information, and he pretended to faint. When he was told he was under arrest for child abuse. Suspect 2 fell face down on the ground and refused to stand up. He was carried by this writer and 2 other law enforcement officers and placed in a patrol vehicle. The suspects were... Why would 2 teachers that hadn't done anything wrong pass out in front of police officers when they were placed under arrest for suspected child abuse? He faked falling on his face. He faked falling on his fucking face when the cops told him, "Get your ass in our squad car." Children gave their names to the officers. The children were extremely hungry when they got to the police station, and the older children stated they hadn't eaten since this morning. Children appeared as if they hadn't bathed in several days, and most of them didn't have any underwear on. The older children stated that they have to do good things to get food as a reward, and they are given oranges, bananas, and carrots, and raw potatoes to eat. Redacted of the older kids stated that redacted, suspect 2 refused to talk to the investigators and to intake counselors. The suspects were advised of their Miranda warning by the investigators, after which suspects continued to be very evasive and continued to be uncooperative. The children were released to the HBS, and the suspects were transported to the Leon County Jail for processing. Suspect's vehicle was confiscated and impounded by by the police department. Sergeant Redacted also responded to the scene. Note, the children's clothing were extremely filthy, and they had on mismatched socks. Again, remember the other reports we heard earlier on. When the children were released back to the same group, they said there was no evidence of abuse. And yet, when they got to the police department, they're covered in bug bites. They have no underwear on. Their clothes are filthy. They all smell because they haven't bathed. And they told the police officers they're only allowed to eat when they behave, and they're only allowed to eat raw potatoes. But there's no child abuse. Okay. The officer was dispatched to assist officer in defense. I think this is this going over this again. Two men had 6 children with them. Is this another? Okay, this is another officer. The van smelled bad. I spoke with the children while officer continued to talk with the 2 men. The eldest child was named. She said she did not know if her last name was redacted or redacted. She said that she also stated that one of the other kids, God, a lot of this has been omitted. She identified the other children as, or she said that they all lived together at Washington, D.C. Phone number. I asked where their mothers were, and they said in Washington. I asked them where they were going. They said they didn't know. They were just going different places. I asked where they were staying. They said at a campgrounds. They've been sleeping in the van and in a tent. I asked when was the last time they saw their mothers. They said before Christmas. So 2 months ago. They said they had no Christmas. They also stated they did not see their mothers much, that they are being weaned away from them. They said they didn't go to school. They said the 2 men teach them. I asked what they teach them. They said games and how to read. They said they did things for rewards. I asked what type of things they got rewards for, and they said working. They said they got food for rewards. They said the adults had to do what the game caller said, and the adults told the children what to do. They said that they were not allowed inside the house. They said they were hungry and had not eaten since this morning. I asked what they ate. They said raw vegetables and fruit. They were transported to the police department and turned over to HRS. The 2 men were arrested for child abuse and then obviously processed. Okay, I think it's just going over what outfits the kids were wearing. Yeah, mismatched socks. Yeah, they're talking about the kids. Shoes were extremely filthy. You notice how both police reports keep going over the fact these kids smelled like shit? Like their clothes are tattered, they're hungry, they're disheveled, they're scratched up, bug bitten. How did they come to the conclusion no abuse took place? The kids are telling the police officers and people involved they're not allowed to see their parents. They can't stay in the house. They're filthy, they're hungry, they're confused, and they're obeying somebody who calls himself the game master. Holy shit. Okay, it's just, this is a summary of the investigation of when they came across the kids, brought them into custody, brought other people into custody. What is this? Investigator was also advised by HRS that 2 children were okay, here we go. Okay. So, investigator was advised that 2 children were confirmed cases of sexual abuse. She stated that the exams on child 1 and child 2 were consistent with sexual abuse, and that child 3 had bruises which were indicative of bite marks. It was not sure if the marks were adults or child bite marks. So, when was this report filed? What's the date on this? Okay, original report, February 4th, date of this report. Okay, so by the 8th, so 2 to 3 days after the initial arrest, it was confirmed the kids were sexually abused. They saw that they were disheveled, they were hungry, they were physically just looked terrible, they smelled, they had a weird story, they were traveling around the country, they weren't allowed to see their mothers, they weren't allowed to sleep in a home, they obeyed somebody called the game master. One of the kids had bite marks, which could have been human bite marks, and 2 of the children had features or behaviors consistent with confirmed sexual abuse. And yet, even with that, in the initial report from the Tallahassee Police Department, once the feds and customs and everybody else got involved, the investigation was dropped. They were sent back to these people. Confirmed sexual abuse, they were turned back over to the people that molested and abused them. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, later that night, this is, I believe, is the warehouse search. Yep. Stated they found a large amount of computer goods, a hot tub, sauna, large TV room, a library of books, some concern. They found books on mind control. Come on! So you're telling me you find a bunch of abused, smelly children with 2 strange men that are traveling the country, and when you search the warehouse these people own, you find a bunch of computer and internet shit and books on mind control. Come on! A detective advised that there were computers at the house with various materials. He stated he didn't have time to go through the information yet. And then, yeah, by the 6th, they were already meeting with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the FBI became involved in the investigation as well as Customs. What the fuck is this? Okay, this is all right. This is some weird fucking shit. Okay, he described the suspect as being a loner. He stated that he had not seen him in 3 to 4 years. Stated that he had shown up at the residence in Gainesville approximately 2 weeks ago with, I'm guessing, the children. He told them that he was en route to Miami. Yep, okay. This, I believe, is a report from people that had contact with these people. Blank gave the investigator a letter he'd received as a reply to a letter he wrote to him. The letter contained 2 pieces of paper. One was a handwritten letter signed by Redacted, stating that the suspect was en route to China via Hawaii. This letter was written on a piece of paper with the letterhead, Gung Ho Traders. The other slip of paper contained in the letter was to Redacted. It was a letter with pornographically described suspect's genitals and thanked them for having a stud for a son. Wait, what? What? Okay, so one of the men transporting the children, was writing letters to people saying that he was going to go to China via Hawaii, and he was thanking people for having sons that were studs. Really great genitals that kid's got. The letter was signed by the wives of Gung Ho. The letter was dated May 19th, 1986. Wow. Suspect refused to talk to the investigators. Suspect did not speak to the investigators, but only gave basic information and to ask questions about the children. He did ask if the children had been seen by a doctor and if anything was found. He also asked where the children were. He advised that the children were in protective custody and were not in need of immediate medical attention. Several leads from the area outside of Tallahassee were given to the FBI to follow up on. Agent Redacted also spoke with the suspect on the telephone. He is located in the New York area. Agents in Gainesville area were also to interview people and see the suspect and children in the area recently. Investigator and agent also went to the treehouse where Redacted were being held in protective custody. Agent Redacted took 35mm pictures, black and white color, of the children for use by his agency. The children appeared to be in good spirits. Okay, it talks about them going to the sheriff's office. Investigator also advised by FBI that they were going to secure a search warrant for the van and would be serving it on the state. Investigator advised them of the materials that were in the TPD property for the van. They advised that they would like to have an agent go through them and come to the TPD and went through the materials. More leads from Gainesville area were given to the FBI to follow up on. Also on this date, Redacted from the National Child Safety Council came to the Tallahassee Police Department to assist the agency in any way possible. In looking through one of his publications, this investigator felt that the missing child, Redacted, may be one of the children in custody. So one of the cops thought one of the kids they got was actually a missing child. The investigator spoke with the investigator from Montgomery PD who advised that Redacted seen the picture and stated that blank was not the missing child, was also listed as having blue eyes, and Redacted had brown eyes. The investigator asked the other investigator to get a copy of the picture that agent will be sending to Washington office of the FBI and have them look at it. He stated that he would. The investigator also spoke with the Marshal of California. He advised that this is so weird. So now we've got letters talking about genitals and trips to China. One of the cops thinks the kid looks like somebody that went missing and was on a milk carton. And again, they're told by intelligence officials, no, you got it wrong. Wrong eye color. Forget about it. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. How convenient. Every time the police department is doing an investigation, the FBI or the CIA or Customs or somebody somehow gets involved and shit disappears. Warrants aren't served. Follow-ups aren't ever followed up on. This is so fucking bizarre. Okay, so they last saw the suspect in Gainesville 5 years ago. He stated that he went to Gainesville to visit, I'm guessing, a relative who was then living in a woman's supportive cooperative. He stated that they lived in a rented house and had a van. There for 48 hours when he realized that he had been very well manipulated and really knew little of what was going on in their life, and that so-and-so was pregnant at the time. Redacted stated that approximately 1 year ago, he and his ex-wife went to visit them in D.C. His ex-wife was living there at the time. He stated they went to the address, knocked and got no answer. Stated they were walking away. He turned around and saw someone looking out from the window at him. The next day, they returned to the house. This time, someone came to the door and let them in, but refused to tell them anything about their friends. Stated that he had become extremely agitated and left. That sounds cult-like. So you're not allowed to talk to anybody you know. You're not allowed to make connections with friends or former family. You're basically kept away from everyone. Okay. I need to take a small break. This is this is a lot of weird shit, chat. I want to know more about the Gung Ho letters. What the fuck was that about? What is the Gung Ho Company, and why are they writing letters to people about children's genitals? Your son is such a stud. Oh, he's got a great cock. By the way, I'm going to China with this group of smelly children in my van. Don't worry, the CIA already arranged for it. You know, it wouldn't be so extraordinary to think they could get to China via Hawaii if this group was getting to places like Russia and North Korea and North Vietnam in the 1960s and early 70s. What the fuck is this? Chat, I'm very confused. I don't know exactly what the fuck is going on with the Finders here, but some weird shit. Let us see here. This is, let me ask you this, chat. Because I'm confused as to why do you think the FBI, now of all times, just what is the impetus? What is the reasoning behind releasing this amount of information just out of the blue? I mean, why now? Do you think it's because of all the weird political shit going on? Is this one agency versus another? Do you think somebody got self-conscious and decided they were going to release it? Was there a timer on this? What exactly is the reason for releasing this report on the 25th of October in 2019 with no fanfare, just putting it out there? Oh, somebody saying, make sure to look up Operation Meat Spin. I'll be sure to check that one out. Trust the plan, Q? I don't know about that. FBI versus CIA? I don't know. It's all fake. Somebody thinks it's all fake. Freedom of Information Act? Well, true. I mean, it could be a Freedom of Information Act inquiry, but it just feels weird. The timing of it feels off. The timer elapsed 25 years. Is that what it is? Well, no. If the timer elapsed from you'd be going from 1993, wouldn't you? Yeah. Well, no, that should have been last year then. FBI is based and red-pilled? I don't know about that. Where are all the adult kids now? You know, I don't know. If they're all 7 and 8 years old in 87, they'd be in their 20s and 30s now. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they've ever given public interviews. I don't know if anybody ever tracked them down and talked to them. Maybe when I do a follow-up stream with the guy that's researching this for a book, he'll have information about what happened to the kids and if they've made any public statements. Well, yeah, there are occasionally time limits on things. That's true, but you know, it's like what is it? The FBI files or FBI files, the JFK shit. I mean, there was supposed to be a time limit on that, and they extended it. It's predictive. They're preparing for something. I don't know, Chad. I don't know what they'd be preparing for. Covering up for something bigger, maybe. Probably dead. Somebody's speculating the kids aren't around anymore. Kids are all likely dead. Yeah, I don't know. We are all the kids. Is that right, chat? Is that is the predictive programming gotten us? I just like that. Like, this involves everything. It's like a really bad Hollywood plot. You've got a group of kids that are being held by weird hippie CIA agents. They're being exposed to abuse, sexual and physical. They're malnourished. They're being trafficked around the world. Government agencies are involved. There are books on fucking mind control. People are covering up evidence and shutting down investigations. It's so fucking bizarre. Holy fuck. All right, let's continue onward. All right, where are we here? This is still the initial Tallahassee police report. Now, I wonder if this is what they're going to finish up with. I think the original Tallahassee police report was like 75 pages. which this might be. Okay, it talks about phone calls between agents. Okay, so I think they're talking to somebody. Stated that she knows, redacted, that he was a farmhand on her neighbor's farm. Stated that the farm belonged to redacted and is used for watermelon growing. Stated at the beginning of last week, January 26th to the 30th, she saw him walk up and down her street with 10 children. Wait a minute. So she saw this guy in January. What? She saw him in January with 10 children, but they were arrested with 6. Stated the children were living in a watermelon field. Stated all the children were white and young. She thought it was strange the children were not in school since she was seeing them during the middle of the day. Stated the children had something in a van, but she does not remember the details about the van. Wait, what happened to the other 4 kids? No. If you have a witness saying there were 10 children and then they get arrested and there are only 6, where'd the other 4 go? Right? What happened to the other 4 fucking kids? Yes, Chad. 10 children. She saw 10 children, and now there are only 6. Where did the other 4 children go? Oh, I got a bad feeling about this one. Okay, it's talking about their van was blocking things on the property. Called me back. Works for the Center for Independent Living in Ocala. Stated on Wednesday that one of her clients ran an ad in the local newspaper to have someone work for him. Stated that on Wednesday a person arrived to the ad and acted strange. Stated she was told by Redacted that the stranger said he was in transit from Washington and that he was on his way to Mexico. That he wanted no money, but that he would like if she could bring the children to their apartments so they could take a bath. Stated that the stranger left on a Wednesday and returned on a Friday, and again worked for Redacted. Stated that they then issued the individual a check, and the check was made payable to blank. Stated the individual said he had borrowed a buddy's van, but that on both days he walked to and from the location, and was described as, okay. I'd like to work on your farm. Can you pay me in baths? You see these 10 smelly children? I need to wash them for my clients in Mexico. Can I pick some fucking pumpkins? Can I grab some watermelons from you to bathe these disgusting children? All 10 of them? I advised that I would have to verify the identity. Okay, call back. Okay, so this is somebody that ran into them before the arrest, saying there were 10 kids and that they were doing odd jobs on their way to Florida. Received a call from a guy named Blank with Interpol. Interpol. Okay. Stated the individual investigator asked him to do a check on the history in Canada from 60 to 71. Stated the immigration services had a fingerprint card on the person to contact Buffalo, New York if needed. Investigator later advised that this is the wrong person to ignore information. So now Interpol is involved. So Interpol does a background check on the suspect and says you don't want to ignore this guy. Get back to us. What the fuck? How many fucking agencies in the world were, I guess, aware of this shit that was going on? You got these people from Washington and their weird fucking cult being seen by witnesses with 10 children. They get arrested in Tallahassee, Florida with 6 kids. Nobody knows where the other 4 fucking went. Interpol knows about it, FBI knows about it, customs officials know about it, CIA knows about it, Metro Police, Tallahassee Police. Everybody's doing search warrants and investigations, finding fucking books on mind control, nude pictures of children, a bunch of computer fucking equipment. CIA has been producing or potentially aiding them in going to hostile countries like Russia, North Korea, and North Vietnam. They've been telling people that they're going to be going to China. And then they tell other people they're building a smart kid school in Mexico. Kids are disheveled and abused. One of the investigators says there's definite evidence of sexual abuse, and yet the investigation is dropped in a week. The evidence disappears. The search warrants are quashed, and the children are returned to the cult. I mean, that's shit we're reading, right? We're making speculation as to why that happened, but that's shit that's in black and white we're reading right now. I don't fucking know what's going on. I feel like my mind is melting reading through this bizarre shit. Oh, 1 second, Chad. Okay. Information packet sent to the agency. Okay, let's see. Oh, Niagara Falls. Yeah, I've noticed like 4 or 5 different police departments are, I guess, involved in this. I'm not sure why. Why are so many police? Like, how far are these people traveling? Sergeant with the Illinois State Police advised that he was currently investigating a missing child from his state and asked us to check the children to see if any of them was the missing child. Blank stated that the child's name is, stated that he would send a photo of the missing child to the agency so we could check. He said there are no fingerprints of the child, no other information. Detective of Connecticut State Police stated that he had no information to add, but if his agency needed help, to contact him. Okay, so they're networking. They're talking to other police departments to try to identify who these fucking kids are. Who are these children? Are they missing kids? Have they been kidnapped? What's going on? Children's Clearinghouse, South Carolina, stated that the children we have in custody look like a missing child in their registry. Yeah, that's weird. One of the police detectives said that one of the kids looked like a missing child he'd seen before. How much did they investigate? When these 6 kids showed up, I mean, how deeply did they investigate? Are these, like, maybe they dyed their hair. Maybe they, I don't fucking know. This is so weird. Disposition case still open. Oh, we're only 150 pages into this. Okay, this is the initial report. This is when somebody reported and said, hey, there's some weird shit going on up in Myers Park. There are a couple of men with a bunch of kids. I don't know what's going on. So we've already read this. We've gone through this before. This is the initial report with the Tallahassee Police Department. The one before it was more interesting because it went over what were they doing? How are they trying to identify the children? Okay. What is this? For example, if a vehicle was having a mechanical problem, a leader would... Okay, oh, is this going over the group? Okay, let's see. The group believes in experiential, or what this investigation terms, hands-on training. They prefer to educate their children by showing them by the best means available, going to zoos, living in the woods, etc., and a preferred learning experience to conventional methods. And while classroom techniques are apparently acceptable to continue to the group, they prefer much diversity as possible. Several of the mothers quoted philosophical following CF reputed, educators, and explained how they, the mothers, feel that their children are being given a better life. The pictures of the children with slaughtered goats was not a ritual sacrifice, but an attempted hands-on experience. One mother who wasn't sure what the ordeal was necessarily, or that she approved, indicated that these 3 men were present at the time, thought the experience was well-intentioned, and an experience for the children to learn. She likened the slaughter to that of what was done in a biology class. Several mothers indicated that the robes being worn by the men were actually sheets the men wore during the slaughter to protect their clothing. The slaughter of the 2 goats on the Virginia farm was at the end of the summer, and the goats couldn't be left there alive. The meat from the goats went back to D.C. to the group where they ate them. The children were to experience where meat comes from, an experience that most children don't get to have when growing up. Yeah, these guys in these weird fucking clan robes with the kids, the dirty, smelly kids, gutting goats and slaughtering them in this picture. It's a learning experience. Oh, I bet there are a lot of pictures of learning experiences those kids went through. But I doubt the FBI will ever release those. Regarding eating, the mothers expressed concern that their children ate properly. Mothers indicated knowledge of diet and nutrition. They indicated that the children eat balanced diets of fruits and vegetables. They go get food whenever they are hungry rather than during prescribed meal times. The group does have conventional meals upon occasion. The mothers indicated that they feel their children are healthy. Oh, here. Contents of the van. All right, let's see what we got. Well, redacted already. Photos of children. Okay, where is this? Again, this is mostly just, this is the initial police report that we've seen. So, I think that's warrantive summary. Okay, you know what? We're at page 180, chat. I think this is what I'm going to do because we're about at the 3 hour mark. I had a guy that he said that he's researching this for a book. So he's got more information than just this. We will do a second stream on this where we go over the last 100 pages. I'm going to try to track down some of these dates, and I'm going to try to track down the kids. I don't know if I'll find anything, but maybe. So give me a couple days to put that together. You know, we'll make it a fucking Halloween stream. Why not? We'll find out the mystery of the Finders. The conclusion on Thursday the 31st. Did the kids die? Did the FBI feel guilty about this? How deeply was the CIA involved? Oh, we're going to find out all those mysteries. I'm going to try to match the dates to news reports too, because I want to find out what the fuck was going on with that Metro Police report. But before, I want to do a summary too of what we know conclusively now after having read this. Without my opinion on top of it. So here's what we know. In 1987, in Tallahassee, Florida, 2 men with 6 children were taken into custody. The 2 men were uncooperative, faked, as a police report indicated, fainting to avoid being taken into custody. The children were malnourished, dirty, smelled badly, had no underwear, were wearing mismatched clothing, had scratches and bug bites all over them, were very hungry, and stated they only ate when they did well, and that when they did eat, it was raw potatoes and maybe some carrots. One of the investigators in Tallahassee did an examination of 2 of the children and found that they had been sexually abused. On a 3rd child, they found that they had evidence of bite marks. 2 warrants were conducted, one in Tallahassee and one in Washington. On the Washington location, the police stated there were classified maps of underground tunnels and sewer networks under Washington, D.C. There were also books at one of the locations about mind control. When these warrants were being executed, officials from the FBI and the Customs Agency took over with the investigation. It was quashed initially after 1 day. The FBI agent, as described in the police report, did a walkthrough without investigating any of the actual evidence. The evidence itself from the 1987 warrant searches mysteriously vanished and could not be located for the 93 inquiry, with one report stating it had been probably sent to Tallahassee for the detectives to use down there. One of the Metro Police Department investigators, who was involved in trying to figure out what was going on, interviewed an intelligence officer from the CIA, who told them that they were in fact stepping on their toes by doing this investigation. Further, it was explained that this group went back beyond earlier than 1987, potentially as far back as 1969, that they were involved in going to hostile countries such as the Soviet Union, North Korea, and North Vietnam. The initial story about bringing the children to Mexico to go to a higher education school is contradicted by testimony from another person who stated they were told they were in fact going to China via Hawaii. The Metro Police Department officer who had been conducting his investigation stated he felt that the CIA was involved, that it wasn't just a nod from them, but that they had their hands in this. And at the end of the day, with all this weird shit going on, after a week's time, investigation closed, children returned, and we didn't find out, and none of the mysteries were solved. If witnesses are saying that before they showed up in Tallahassee, Florida, there were men with 10 children, and they showed up with 6 children, where did the other 4 go? What happened to them? Why in one of the Metro Police Department reports does it state that they were denying certain evidence was found at a warrant search, and then the next paragraph explaining that in fact that evidence was found at the warrant search? How could the CIA, the FBI, Department of Justice, Attorney General, House of Representatives, foreign intelligence networks, I'm guessing MI6 from the London correspondence, and Interpol, all be involved in a group and come to the conclusion that nothing's going on? Why would that many intelligence agencies be involved with nothing going on? But perhaps the most bizarre thing out of all of this is that in the middle of this document dump by the FBI regarding the Finders, in the middle of it, in between, sandwiched in between a U.S. Customs statistical analysis and a letter to U.S. Customs, is an archaeology map of McMartin preschool showing tunnels and talking about what was found there, with McMartin or whatever it is preschool being a place where children allege that they were victims of sexual abuse and satanic rituals. Why did the archaeologist notes state that there were in fact tunnels, that they found pentagrams on objects and hundreds upon hundreds of animal bones in these tunnels that ran between this school and a neighboring property? It seems very bizarre that was put inside, in between two custom documents talking about this. And we're only, with all of that, we're only 180 pages in. There are still 140 pages of this, plus whatever information the guy that is looking to write a book about this might have, plus what information I might be able to find about it if you stumble on anything. If you come across an interview with one of the kids, with one of the police officers involved, just any supplementary information you come across, send it to my good friend Mr. Anti-Bully over on Twitter, and I will incorporate it into our Halloween stream where we conclude the mystery of the Finders and figure out what in the fuck is going on. You know, I can vaguely remember in the 80s and 90s that, there was a thing known as the Satanic Panic. People were paranoid about their children being abused. A lot of PSAs were produced to protect children from strangers. And it seemed like cases like this were popping up in the news. And I remember that there was a heavy pushback saying that it was hysteria, that this wasn't happening, that people were overreacting, that they were being silly, and there was nothing real about it. And yet, reading over this information, it seems like there's some smoke here. It seems like there's some weird shit going on. And just comparing it to some of the things we see today, you've got people like Epstein that had basically a sex island where world leaders would go to fuck young girls. Or you've got Nixium, Divixium, however you pronounce it. Basically a corporate cult headed up by a financier who also traded in sex slaves and went as so far as to actually brand them with a cattle prod. That's two recent examples in the last few years. And I'm sure that's not some new thing. That's not some new thing. This Finder shit is bizarre. The Game Caller and his group of dedicated people who try to come off as some kind of hippie lifestyle cooperative where they're just getting by, man. We're just gonna eat watermelons, dude. And yet for some reason they're traveling to Russia and North Korea and the CIA is telling people to back off. Nah, there's some fucked up shit here. So we will conclude on Halloween on the 31st. If you've got some time, if you're not super drunk at a Halloween party, feel free to tune in. I'll try to do it, let's see, we'll say 8 p.m. Eastern, probably till midnight. Probably take 3 or 4 hours to go over the rest of this. So any information, feel free to send it over to Mr. Anti-Bully. He will get it to me. I will have a new video up as well, up on BitChute within the next day or so. Transtastic Tales number 2, which I guess fits in with the theme of the shit we're talking about now, since it's dealing with James Younger and a whole bunch of stuff. If you've seen the first episode, you get the vibe of the series, I'm sure. Well, thank you for coming out. I'll read through the Super Chats. I'll get through everyone that I missed. But thank you for coming out. Thanks for watching. I guess I'll see you on Halloween. Check out the new video in a day or two up on BitChute. Have a good week. Hug your children. Don't let any of those glow-in-the-darks get near them. Remember, Sonic says it's no good. Don't trust them. All right? Don't trust them.